do not travel without these essential travel apps. Now, any average YouTuber, they probably come up with the top 10. We're not average, Sarah. We've got 11. We have 11 essential apps. Really, it's because we couldn't cut it down any further. All of these are essential.
All ones we use.
Yeah, we're going to rattle through this for you. Going to get straight into it with Google Workspace. So that is basically having a Google account. If you've got a Google account, that means that you have access to the Google Drive. You've got access to Google Sheets, the writing app, the Keep, Google Keep. Yeah, you've got all of these apps, so they can be apps on your phone or on your laptop. So some of these actually, they're not specifically an app. It might just be a website. There's one in particular I'm thinking of. Why is this important? It's important because when you're traveling, things can get a little bit fraught. So, for example, let's say you lose your passport. What do? Have you taken a photocopy of it and you've stored it somewhere in your bag and you say, oh, where is it? So we've got two important folders. We've taken photographs of our passport, of the fronts and backs of our cards, of everything that you might think that could come in handy. We've taken photographs of it, and then what we've done is in Google Docs you can mark things to be available offline.
This is really important because I can remember not doing this and thinking, oh, it's just there. Got to an airport and needed something. I think it was during COVID, and I hadn't downloaded it, so that's really important. No, so open up the document and you have to actually star it to be available offline. There's
another Google app that will be coming up shortly, but I'll let Sarah talk about that. Which one do you want to talk about next, Sarah?
I want to talk about Rome to Rio, which is a fantastic app if you're planning any travels. So it covers all modes of transport, which is why we love it. So the flights, buses, trains, boats, everything. It covers a whole lot. So what you're thinking, maybe, we've got to fly there to there, Rome to Rio will actually solve that problem for you and will give you other options that you might consider.
The other thing it does is it will mix modes of transport. So it will say you take a bus from point A to point B, then go from a bus onto a boat from point B to C, and then when you get to point C, you get on a flight to point D, and it gives you the prices or a rough breakdown of what those prices are.
So we haven't booked through Rome to Rio. I believe you can. We haven't done that.
Yeah, it links through. The next one is VPN.
No, it's not an advert.
We don't have any affiliations with any VPN companies, so we're not going to be saying all the same old guff you've heard before. What we're going to say is basically a VPN will enable your phone or your laptop to know that it's in a specific country. So sometimes you'll try and get to certain websites and you can't get to them because you're in a foreign country, things like banking, that kind of stuff. Or if you want to use Netflix and you want to get your normal list of things, or if you're from the UK and you want to you watch BBC, for example, the BBC knows you're not in the UK and it won't show you anything. Get a VPN, you tell it you're in the UK, even though you're in Malaysia, and you can start watching EastEnders.
If you haven't seen an advert explaining all of that by now,
what have you been doing with your life? Yeah.
There's far too many of them.
So you can watch EastEnders in any part of the world. My advice, though, is do not watch EastEnders in any part of the world. That is the fast way to ruin your life. What's next?
Travel spend. So we've talked about this app before, and part of our travels is to actually track our budget, and I use an app called Travel Spend, which is brilliant. You can categorise it into all your different categories: accommodation, entertainment, travel, groceries, incidentals, groceries, and we have, I think it's 5 or 6 different categories. It's so easy to use. As soon as you have a bill at the end of dinner or come out of the shop, you just pop in and you set it into whatever currency you want it to appear in. And then it provides you with some really good little graphs as well to see where you're spending most of your money. And also you can download it into CSV file when you're doing your actual budgets.
So a couple of things there is, if let's say your home currency is GBP, or USD, for example, if you're in a foreign country, it knows that you're in a foreign country. You don't have to tell it. You said you can choose what currency it is. You don't have to tell it. So if you're in Malaysia, use that as our example today, you're in Malaysia, it will automatically record things in ringgit, But then, because your home currency is USD, it will convert things into USD for you. The other thing you mentioned about being able to export it into a comma-separated file, you can do that if you go for the paid-for version. If you don't want to do that kind of data analysis, you can just use the free version. But we like to export all that.
It's a big part of our travelling to download and do those budgets.
Yeah, exactly. And I guess what goes hand in hand with that is a currency conversion app, of which there are multiple available out there. So just pick the one that you like the look of. The one we use, I'll just put it on screen now. The one thing that I like about this is you can load in there the currencies that you use more frequently than others, rather than having to trawl through a list every time. And you can see a chart of what that currency's done most recently. So we enjoy using that one. What's the next one on the list, Sarah?
Ride shares. So in many places in the world, there's normally a ride share facility. So you're talking Ubers, Bolt, Grab, Lyft. So download all of those apps and make sure you have your credit card attached to your payment, because when you get to that country, you're going to need to have that attached rather than mess about doing that. So we've used all of them depending where we are. And they're all great.
All the same.
And the thing I love about it, because I remember doing quite a lot of travelling on my own, or feeling safe enough to go in sort of Bolt or Grab, is you can see obviously where you're going, and also the price. So there's no issue. Yeah,
it all goes through your credit card. And if you've used Uber, they're all the same. They'll work exactly the same way. Next, weather. Right. This is a brilliant, it's not an app, it's a website, but I highly recommend, if you haven't got a pen in your hand, note this down now. This has been a lifesaver. So there's plenty of weather apps out there where you can say, well, we're thinking of going to place X in the world. What's the weather like in February? And I always find it really tricky to get the things you need. WeatherSpark is this website. What WeatherSpark does is provides so much data, and there's one chart in particular on there that I think is
critical to us.
Yeah, I will pay for. I will pay. Although this is free, I will pay for it. And this is around the humidity. So I'm just going to show on screen now Kuala Lumpur. So you can see Kuala Lumpur. You're thinking, when will be a good time of the year to visit Kuala Lumpur? Look at this chart and you make your own mind up. The one thing you do know is it is a little bit humid in Kuala Lumpur. So you can look at different parts of the world and you may see a place and say, well, that's got an average temperature of 25 or 73 degrees. That's my perfect temperature. Have a look deeper into TravelSpark and you might see
down quite a lot on that.
Yeah, but it's
totally
all
worth it.
So many charts. So there's a chart on there for what kind of wind you're gonna suffer. So you might look at it and go, well, it may be 25 degrees, but it has really high wind in May, so that's not good. Or although it's 25 degrees, it gets really muggy in the middle of the night. WeatherSpark has been a fantastic app to use. What's next on your list, Sarah?
Next on my list is an app called Paprika, which is a food app, for want of a better
recipe app.
Recipe app, yeah. So being on the road, I do enjoy cooking still, and obviously you can't carry around your recipe books. So this is a really good app for me, because if I fancy cooking something, not quite sure what to do, I'll use the search facility in that app and go and find my recipe, and then you can download it into Paprika. And what that does then is separates it into the method and into the ingredients. You can also use it for shopping lists and things, which I don't personally do.
You can also change the number of servings as well, can't you?
Yes, you can, and you can change metric to imperial, and you can change it for different amounts. And I just find that really useful, because I've got a recipe saved, so when I fancy doing that again, it's there, and I know exactly what the ingredients is I need to get, and I found that really very useful little app.
Very good. I must just say, said we got 11 of these. The 11th is the most important, which is a rule on YouTube. You have to do them both.
You do, yeah.
But I've just realised this is the most important, so do stick around for it. Don't miss it, whatever you do. Next one is to have apps installed on your phone for the airline or train or bus company you're using, because often you can download your boarding pass or tickets into those, and that can solve a lot of problems. Often, I had an issue once where I had a photocopy. I took a photograph of the boarding pass, and the company that we were working through didn't like that. They go, no, I need to see the official. So having the official app was something that works out well.
And also the other resilience thing we do is you send via WhatsApp the boarding passes.
Yeah.
And I get them as well. So then again, making sure you've downloaded those, so you're not in a situation you need a Wi-Fi or anything.
Yeah.
And that's always a good.
Yeah. So if you've got your airline app, for example, just pull up your boarding pass. You can do a screen capture on a Android phone. It's normally down volume and the power button together. You'll do a screen capture and then just send that to your travel partner in WhatsApp or in Messenger or whatever you use. Then you've got like an offline copy as well that you can work
as long as you've opened it before you get to the airport.
What's next?
Next one is Google Translate. We just touched on that briefly, but that has been invaluable in certain cases to us. Just certainly from with a consultant, we actually used another one there.
I'll put a link to this one on screen because looking through the app library, whatever it's called, the app, what was it you download apps from? The Play Store. There are hundreds of Translate apps, but there was a guy that I used for massage, and we tried using Google Translate with him because we didn't speak the same language, and it wasn't working. And then he started using an app on his phone, and we found that we were able to actually have a conversation. So I was flat on my stomach, and I'm conversing with him. I'm speaking English, it's coming out in his language. He's speaking in his native language, it's coming out in English. So we said to him, what app is that you're using? And we downloaded it. So that takes the app experience beyond just doing a translation. We were actually having conversations. I saw him many times actually, and we were starting to have a laugh. Speaking totally different
conversation
languages.
mode, I think.
There's a conversation mode. I'll put it on screen so you can see.
But Google Translate is invaluable when you're reading menus and things like that. You definitely need that.
That's right. And then the last one, the most important one, is TripIt. It's a paid for app. You have to pay for it. We're not sponsored. There's no link below. None of that. But TripIt is something that I used to use back in my old corporate life. The company I work for used to load all of your travel documents into TripIt. So basically what you do with TripIt is if you book a flight, for example, once you book the flight, you'll get the confirmation come through in email, and then you just forward that to plans@tripit.com. And that goes to the TripIt server. It recognises the email address you've sent it from. It puts it into your travel itinerary, and there it is. Then it will give you updates about if the flight changes. We use it for absolutely everything now. So even if I book a table for dinner, I will go to TripIt rather than my calendar. I'll go to TripIt, put the date and time that we're going, and then you can actually load in there images, JPEG image or a PDF. So I'll actually upload in there exactly what it is. Or if you've got tickets to go to a show, just stick it in there. And
that's
it means
another,
you've got the tickets
place
with you.
to have things stored as well. So
that's right.
If you need to get
so I've said about going for dinner. What I mean there is when you are travelling full time, it's very easy to let the romance fade a little bit. But you can be romantic as you travel, and that's exactly what the very next video on this channel is all about, Sarah. And now, today, Sarah doesn't know what I'm talking about.
No.
But tomorrow, you will.
Oh.
There you go. What's our dream?
Our dream is world travel. What's yours?